Power never belongs to the one who speaks the most. It belongs to the one who does not need to speak at all. Every time you defend yourself, you accept a hidden role. You accept the role of the accused. And once you accept that role, you are no longer in control of the frame. This is the rule most people never learn. They think silence is passive. They think silence is fear. They think silence means losing. Machiavelli knew better. Silence is not absence. Silence is dominance. And today, you will understand why. Most people believe power comes from persuasion, from clarity, from being understood. That belief is the reason they never reach it. In real hierarchies, explanation is not neutral behavior. It is directional. It always moves downward. Those below explain their actions. Those above do not feel the need to. When you explain yourself, you are not sharing information. You are signaling that your position depends on acceptance, and dependence is the opposite of power. This is why explanation feels instinctive. Your nervous system treats misunderstanding as danger. You feel the urge to correct, to clarify, to restore balance. But the balance you are restoring is not equality. It is submission. Because the moment you explain, you implicitly agree that the other person has the right to judge you. You may never say it out loud, but your behavior already has. Power does not collapse through confrontation. It collapses through self-placement, through small, unconscious decisions that redefine where you stand in the hierarchy. Silence prevents this collapse, not because it is mysterious, but because it refuses the role being offered. When someone attacks you verbally, they are not always seeking truth. They are testing position. They want to see, will you react? Will you rush to justify yourself? Will you step into defense? Most people do, and the hierarchy locks in place. But silence breaks the test. When no response arrives, the expected sequence fails. Attack, defense. Accusation, explanation. Provocation, reaction. Silence interrupts the script, and interruption creates psychological pressure. The human mind is deeply uncomfortable with unresolved tension. When you do not speak, the other person begins to fill the space. They speak more. They over-explain. They soften. They retreat. Not because you argued better, but because you refused to play. This is why silence is feared. It removes certainty, and certainty is what manipulators rely on. Silence does not push back. It pulls information out. It forces the other person to reveal their intentions without resistance. Machiavelli understood that power lives in perception, not in explanation. A ruler who constantly clarifies his decisions teaches others that his authority is negotiable. A ruler who remains composed in silence teaches something else, that his position does not require validation. This is the foundation of quiet dominance, not loud control, not aggressive force, but the ability to remain unmoved when others expect reaction. Most people cannot tolerate this position. They rush to resolve discomfort. They rush to be understood. They rush to defend their image. But the one who can hold silence controls the exchange without effort, because they never step into the frame designed to weaken them. This is not the full picture yet, but this is where power begins. In the moment you stop explaining yourself and allow silence to do the work for you. Power does not operate the way people are taught to believe. Publicly, power is presented as dialogue, as transparency, as explanation. Privately, power follows a different code, a code that is never announced, never written down, but always enforced. Machiavelli understood this separation clearly. He knew that what keeps order among the masses is not what governs those who rule them. Public rules exist to stabilize crowds. Private rules exist to preserve position. And silence is one of the most important private rules of power. In public environments, explanation is encouraged. If you do not explain yourself, you are labeled arrogant. If you do not clarify your intentions, you are called suspicious. If you do not defend yourself, you are assumed guilty. These labels are not accidental. They are tools designed to force compliance. Because when everyone is required to explain, everyone becomes manageable. But in closed environments, rooms where decisions are made without witnesses, explanation is rare. Not because people are rude, not because they are cruel, but because explanation changes hierarchy. Those who explain position themselves as accountable. Those who remain silent position themselves as autonomous. Autonomy is power. Machiavelli observed that authority weakens the moment it begins to justify itself. A ruler who explains too much invites debate, and debate creates equality. Equality dissolves hierarchy. This is why real power avoids unnecessary speech. Silence preserves distance, and distance preserves control. When someone above you speaks less than you expect, you feel it immediately. The room shifts. You become careful with your words. You measure your tone. You hesitate before challenging them. Not because they threatened you, but because their silence implied confidence. Silence signals that nothing is at stake for them, and when nothing is at stake, they cannot be pressured. Most people misunderstand this and make a fatal error. They believe silence is something you do after you become powerful. In reality, silence is what creates power. It is not the reward, it is the mechanism. Hierarchy is not maintained through force alone. It is maintained through behavioral signals. Who speaks first? Who reacts? Who fills the silence? These signals are read subconsciously. When you rush to explain yourself, you signal urgency. Urgency signals vulnerability, and vulnerability invites control. Consider how accusations work in social environments. An accusation is rarely about truth. It is a probe. It asks one question: can I move you? If you immediately defend yourself, the answer is yes. You have moved. You have shifted your posture, your tone, your energy in response to someone else. The probe succeeded. But when the accusation meets silence, something else happens. The probe stalls. The accuser must now justify their position. They must escalate or retreat. And most retreat. Because escalation requires confidence they do not have. Silence forces responsibility back onto the attacker. It denies them the leverage they expected. This is why silence feels uncomfortable, not just to others, but to you. Silence requires internal discipline. It requires the ability to tolerate misunderstanding without panic, to tolerate judgment without defense, to tolerate tension without release. Most people fail here. They explain not because it is wise, but because they cannot hold discomfort. They need resolution. But power does not rush resolution. Power allows pressure to build until others resolve it for you. Machiavelli warned against appearing weak not through physical fear, but through behavioral signals. He understood that people test authority constantly, not with direct attacks, but with small challenges, questions, comments, doubts disguised as curiosity. Every one of these is a test, and silence is often the correct answer. Not permanent silence, but selective silence. Silence that says, I am not obligated to respond.
I am not here to be evaluated. I decide when explanation is necessary. This is not arrogance. This is boundary. And boundaries define hierarchy. In private power circles, explanation is used strategically. It is given sparingly, intentionally, only when it strengthens position, never when it weakens it. Those who hold leverage decide when clarity serves them and when ambiguity protects them. They do not explain themselves to satisfy curiosity. They explain only to direct outcomes. This is the difference between influence and exposure. Influence shapes behavior. Exposure invites attack. Silence minimizes exposure. Quiet dominance is built on this understanding. You do not speak to be liked. You do not speak to be understood. You do not speak to be forgiven. You speak when it moves the situation forward, and remain silent when it preserves your position. This discipline changes how others relate to you. They begin to anticipate your reactions. They hesitate before testing you. They speak more carefully in your presence, not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior instructed it. This is how power stabilizes, not through noise, but through restraint. In the next part, we will move from structure to consequence, from hierarchy to untouchability. Why unreadable people are harder to manipulate. Why silence removes hooks before attacks begin. And why those who master quiet dominance eventually stop being targeted altogether.
At a certain level, power stops being about confrontation. It becomes about avoidance. Not avoidance out of fear, but avoidance by others. People stop testing you, stop provoking you, stop pulling you into unnecessary conflict. Not because you won every argument, but because engaging with you feels risky. This is the final effect of quiet dominance. Most attacks fail before they begin, because attacks need hooks. They need emotion. They need reaction. They need predictability. Words provide hooks. Defensiveness provides hooks. Over-explanation provides hooks. Silence provides nothing. When you are unreadable, people cannot calibrate their pressure. They do not know where your limits are, what offends you, what destabilizes you. And uncertainty is dangerous territory. So they hesitate. This is why silence changes who approaches you. People who seek control look for responsiveness. They look for emotional openings. They look for signs of insecurity. When they find none, they move on. Not consciously, instinctively. Predators do not hunt what cannot be measured. Most people believe respect comes from asserting themselves, from pushing back, from proving strength. But respect is more often granted to those who do not need to assert anything. When you stop explaining yourself, you remove your need to convince. When you remove your need to convince, you signal internal authority. Authority that does not negotiate is rarely challenged. This does not mean you never speak. It means your words are rare and precise. When you speak less, people listen more. Your statements feel final. Your silence between words carries weight. The absence of noise amplifies presence. This is why high-status individuals often speak slowly. They do not rush. They are not competing for airtime. Time bends toward them. Consider how power behaves in rooms of influence. The most powerful person is rarely the loudest. They are often the one others look at before speaking. Others wait for before acting. Others adjust themselves around. Their silence organizes the room, not by command, but by gravity. Quiet dominance also protects you psychologically. When you explain yourself constantly, you live externally. Your emotional state becomes dependent on how others perceive you.
Silence recenters you. You stop managing impressions. You stop correcting narratives. You stop chasing understanding. You become internally anchored. And internal anchoring is the foundation of composure. Machiavelli understood that power is unstable when it depends on approval. Approval is fragile. It shifts quickly. It must be maintained. But authority that rests on composure is self-sustaining. It does not need applause. It does not need agreement. It only needs consistency. Silence is consistent. There is a moment when this becomes visible. You notice people explaining themselves to you. They justify comments you did not challenge. They soften statements you did not attack. They fill silence you did not create. The roles have reversed. Without effort, without declaration, this is how dominance actually forms. Quietly. At this stage, something else happens. You stop being targeted. Because targeting requires hope. Hope that you will react. Hope that you will engage. Hope that you will expose something. When none of that appears, the incentive disappears. Silence is not confrontation. It is insulation. This is why the most dangerous individuals often appear calm. Not because they are harmless, but because they are contained. They do not leak information. They do not reveal insecurity. They do not offer handles. They are difficult to move, and difficulty discourages interference. Quiet dominance is not learned overnight. It is trained through restraint, through allowing misunderstanding, through tolerating tension, through resisting the urge to correct. Each moment you do not explain yourself, you reinforce internal authority. Each moment you hold silence under pressure, you raise the cost of challenging you. Eventually, the challenges stop. This is the end state. Not loud victory, not public dominance, but absence of opposition. You are not untouchable because you fight back. You are untouchable because there is nothing to grab. Final rule. Those who master silence master space. Those who master space master interaction. And those who master interaction are rarely controlled. Quiet dominance does not announce itself. It simply remains.